The new school. When she saw the gate of the new school, Totto-chan stopped. The gate of the school she used to go to had fine concrete pillars with the name of the school in large characters. But the gate of this new school simply consisted of two rather short posts that still had twigs and leaves on them. "This gate's growing," said Totto-chan. "It'll probably go on growing till it's taller than the telephone poles." The two gate posts were clearly trees with roots. When she got closer, she had to put her head to one side to read the name of the school because the wind had blown the sign ASCII. Tomoe Gakuen. Totto-chan was about to ask Mother what Tomo meant when she caught a glimpse of something that made her think she must be dreaming. She squatted down and peered through the shrubbery to get a better look, and she couldn't believe her eyes. "Mother, is that really a train? There, in the school grounds?" For its classrooms, the school had made use of 6 abandoned railroad cars. To Totto-chan, it seemed something you might dream about. A school and a train. The windows of the railroad cars sparkled in the morning sunlight. But the eyes of the rosy-cheeked little girl gazing at them through the shrubbery sparkled even more. "I like this school." A moment later, Totto-chan let out a whoop of joy and started running toward the train school, calling out to Mother over her shoulder. "Come on, hurry. Let's get on this train that's standing still." Startled, Mother began to run after her. Mother had been on a basketball team once, so she was faster than Totto-chan and caught hold of her dress just as she reached the door. "You can't go in yet," said Mother, holding her back. "The cars are classrooms, and you haven't even been accepted here yet. If you really want to get on this train, you'll have to be nice and polite to the headmaster. We're going to call on him now, and if all goes well, you'll be able to go to this school. Do you understand?" Totto-chan was awfully disappointed not to get on the train right away, but she decided she had better do as Mother told her. "All right," she said, and then added, "I like this school a lot." Mother felt like telling her it wasn't a matter of whether she liked the school, but of whether the headmaster liked her. But she just let go of Totto-chan's dress, took hold of her hand, and started walking toward the headmaster's office. All the railroad cars were quiet, for the first classes of the day had begun. Instead of a wall, the not very spacious school grounds were surrounded by trees, and there were flower beds full of red and yellow flowers. The headmaster's office wasn't in a railroad car, but was on the right-hand side of one-story building that stood at the top of a semicircular flight of about 7 stone steps opposite the gate. Totto-chan let go of Mother's hand and raced up the steps, then turned around abruptly, almost causing Mother to run into her. "What's the matter?" Mother asked, fearing Totto-chan might have changed her mind about the school. Standing above her on the top step, Totto-chan whispered to Mother in all seriousness, "The man we're going to see must be his stationmaster." Mother had plenty of patience as well as great sense of fun. She put her face close to Totto-chan's and whispered, "Why?" Totto-chan whispered back, "You said he was the headmaster, but if he owns all these trains, he must be his stationmaster." Mother had to admit it was unusual for a school to make use of old railroad cars, but there was no time to explain. She simply said, "Why don't you ask him yourself? And, anyway, what about Daddy? He plays the violin and owns several violins, but that doesn't make our house a violin shop, does it?" "No, it doesn't," Totto-chan agreed, catching hold of Mother's hand. The headmaster. When Mother and Totto-chan went in, the man in the office got up from his chair. His hair was thin on top, and he had a few teeth missing, but his face was a healthy color. Although he wasn't very tall, he had solid shoulders and arms, and was neatly dressed in a rather shabby black 3-piece suit. With a hasty bow, Totto-chan asked him spiritedly, "What are you, a schoolmaster or a stationmaster?" Mother was embarrassed, but before she had time to explain, he laughed and replied, "I'm the headmaster of this school." Totto-chan was delighted. "Oh, I'm so glad," she said, "because I want to ask you a favor. I'd like to come to your school." The headmaster offered her a chair and turned to Mother. "You may go home now. I want to talk to Totto-chan." Totto-chan had a moment's uneasiness, but somehow felt she would get along all right with this man. "Well, then, I'll leave her with you," Mother said bravely, and shut the door behind her as she went out. The headmaster drew over a chair and put it facing Totto-chan, and when they were both sitting down close together, he said, "Now then, tell me all about yourself." Tell me anything at all you want to talk about. Anything I like? Totto-chan had expected him to ask questions she would have to answer. When he said she could talk about anything she wanted, she was so happy she began straight away. It was all a bit higgledy-piggledy, but she talked for all she was worth. She told the headmaster how fast the train went that they had come on, how she had asked the ticket collector, but he wouldn't let her keep her ticket, how pretty her homeroom teacher was at the other school, about the swallow's nest, about their brown dog, Rocky, who could do all sorts of tricks, how she used to go snip-snip with the scissors inside her mouth at kindergarten, and the teacher said she mustn't do that because she might cut her tongue off, but she did it anyway, how she always blew her nose because mother scolded her if it was runny, what a good swimmer Daddy was, and how he could dive as well. She went on and on. The headmaster would laugh, nod and say, and Totto-chan was so happy, she kept right on talking. But finally, she ran out of things to say. She sat with her mouth closed, trying hard to think of something. Haven't you anything more you can tell me? Asked the headmaster. What a shame to stop now, Totto-chan thought. It was such a wonderful chance. Wasn't there anything else she could talk about? She wondered, racking her brains. Then she had an idea. She could tell him about the dress she was wearing that day. Mother made most of her dresses, but this one came from a shop. Her clothes were always torn when she came home in the late afternoon. Some of the rips were quite bad. Mother never knew how they got that way. Even her white cotton panties were sometimes in shreds. She explained to the headmaster that they got torn when she crossed other people's gardens by crawling under their fences, and when she burrowed under the barbed wire around vacant lots. So this morning, she said, when she was getting dressed to come here, all the nice dresses Mother had made were torn. So she had to wear one Mother had bought. It had small dark red and gray checks and was made of jersey, and it wasn't bad, but Mother thought the red flowers embroidered on the collar were in bad taste. Mother doesn't like the collar, said Totto-chan, holding it up for the headmaster to see. After that, she could think of nothing more to say, no matter how hard she tried. It made her rather sad. But just then, the headmaster got up, placed his large, warm hand on her head, and said, "Well, now you're a pupil of this school." Totto-chan hadn't learned how to tell time yet, but it did seem like a rather long time. If she had been able to, she would have been astonished and even more grateful to the headmaster. For, you see, Mother and Totto-chan arrived at the school at 8. And when she had finished talking and the headmaster had told her she was a pupil of the school, he looked at his pocket watch and said, "Ah, it's time for lunch." So the headmaster must have listened to Totto-chan for 4 solid hours. Neither before nor since did any grown-up listen to Totto-chan for as long as that. And besides, it would have amazed Mother and her homeroom teacher to think that a 7-year-old child could find enough to talk about for 4 hours nonstop. Totto-chan had no idea then, of course, that she had been expelled and that people were at their wits' end to know what to do. Having a naturally sunny disposition and being a bit absent-minded gave her an air of innocence. But deep down, she felt she was considered different from other children and slightly strange. The headmaster, however, made her feel safe and warm and happy. She wanted to stay with him forever. That's how Totto-chan felt about headmaster Sosaku Kobayashi that first day. And luckily, the headmaster felt the same about her.